Boom! And just like that, we are live. It's your dude, Uncle Lee. Roy, don't say the Leroy without the Junior. And we coming back another Friday with another hot interview. But of course, before we get things started, I got to bring my partner in. Wait, what side is he on? This side? Oh, wait. You're blinding me, man. I'm going to take you off the air with that coming on.
Almost at time, baby.
Does this look like salty?
Hey, good to be back, man. Have some fun with this.
Hey, big facts, man. So, hey, how's the Friday going? You know what I'm saying? So, how's it going for you this Friday?
It's doing good, man. You know, it's Friday. Had a little bit bad luck. It's a guy day, man. I'm sucking there, so it's a plus.
Okay. Well, my day was going well until we got on the show and you came on with that hat.
Hey, but then that made my day then.
Well, look, talk about making a day, man. We got this MMA fighter coming from out of Chicago, man.
Chi-town.
Hey, man, I'm telling you. So, look, I was kind of scared bringing him on there because you know what they say about them Chi-town cats, man. You know, like that's the syndicate nation. They had your whole family hit. But, man, you know, we're gonna get this thing started. Before we bring him on, we definitely gotta, you know what I'm saying? It's all about the intro, right? Like that's what it is, right?
First impressions.
Oh, he's so cute. First impressions, last impressions.
About the cue part. I don't know about the cue part.
My name's Rivera Jr. I train out of Combat Go in Cicero, Illinois.
My name is Georgie Medina. I fight out of TDC MMA and Fitness. I'm the 155, 165 pound champion. September 1st, I have the opportunity to be the first ever amateur 3-weight champion fighting in the Cicero Stadium for Fight Card Entertainment.
What a fight! Oh!
Catch me live September 1st at Cicero Stadium. Fight for Fight Card's welterweight title.
Oh, that was a big shot. He's had a big takedown for Angelo.
Hey, look, we gotta get this thing off of the man. Like,
get you going.
Look, hey, look, I'm telling you, I'm feeling like who is that? Cassius Clay, little razzle dazzle. You know what I'm saying? Muhammad Ali. Wait, you're not the good hype. You like right? Well, look, we just gonna get this thing started. Look, we gonna get Angelo Rivera Jr. straight from Chi-town, man.
What's up? Thank you for having me on the show, man.
Already.
Hey, appreciate you for hanging out, man. Look, he already comes out like a big time. Like, hey, you know, thank y'all. You know, no big applauses. You know, it's all good. I'm humble.
No autographs, please. No autographs. Talk to my manager.
Exactly. So where you hanging out with us from? What part of Chicago?
Northwest side, near Humboldt Park. That's where most people are familiar from. I'm Puerto Rican, so with all my Hispanic culture, you know, that's more of this Hispanic side of Chicago.
Nice. So, all right. So I've heard some things about Chi-town. So one thing I've heard is about the baseball team. Okay. Certain people go with the White Sox. A certain type of Chi-town go with the Cubs. Who are you rocking with?
Well, I'm from the north side, so, you know, I rock with the Cubs. I bleed blue and red all day. And at least from when I was young, I remember the Sammy Sosa days, and those were the days, you know. Sammy Sosa was the man. And but as I got older, I just realized it's all about the competitiveness, and I just learned how to just love my city overall. So I like both teams. Unless they play each other, then, you know, I go for Chicago. And unless I got some money on the line, then, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. So shout out to Xavier because he's a Bears fan, you know, just bringing up the NFL. So one of the things that they say about the Cubs, those are the blue collar workers. So did you hear that same story?
I guess. I mean, you go to the stadium, it's going to be more, you know, the uppity, like yuppie people. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know, that's where they like to party and have fun. And you go to the White Sox stadium, it's, you know, a little bit more rough, if I should say. but it's both fun. I mean, both sides are fun. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're always gonna have a good time in Chicago.
I hear. You know what I'm saying? We can tell. You know what I'm saying? We see on TV. So, but what is like the experience to be at Wrigley Field? Like, you know, that's everyone's like big sporting experience. They want to go out and see Wrigley Field. So, you know, being a local kid, how is that? You know, just being in the home of so much sports culture. Like, you know, I'm a big MJ fan. So, of course, you know that question is coming.
Yeah. I mean, being in Wrigley Field, it's always upbeat. Everybody's having a great time. And then, you know, as of lately, the Cubs have been pretty much okay. You know what, a few years back, 2016, they won the World Series, and ever since, I think they've either made the playoffs or at least a wild card. So pretty much every season since then, it's been pretty good. So it's always rocking and it's always crazy. And you know, Chicago.
No more curse of the dope. Was it
the goat?
Curse of the goat? Yeah.
Yeah,
no more of that.
I remember it was crazy that day they won the World Series. I mean, everywhere in Chicago, like every big street was shut down. People were outside in the middle of the streets, and it was funny because cops were right next to us. People just had bottles in their hands, just drinking, having fun, and yeah, it was crazy, man. It was fun. I remember that night.
Nice. So you know, definitely because there's so much culture, so much diversity out there in Chicago. So you know, what's your biggest sports moment out there?
My biggest sports moment is for me, or just like what I remember growing up until this
Period. Whatever you want. Period. Whatever you want to share with, because I want to know.
I think the biggest thing I remember was 2007. I was in 8th grade. And I remember Devin Hester returning the first ever kick return in Super Bowl. And I was like, oh my God, they're gonna win. And then next thing you know, Peyton Manning just tore them up, you know. I thought they had enough with Brian Urlacher, you know, Rex was you know, but honestly, I thought that was their year. I mean, look at when they played Arizona, they did that major comeback, and you know, they were just destined. But for whatever reason, they didn't have Kyle Orton in the game, and you know, I think that could have been a major factor.
You let them off the hook.
Yeah. All they had to do is manage the game. That's it, man. They had the squad, they had the defense, you know, and they had the special teams, but they never kicked to Devin Hester, I think, after that ever again. You know,
so, hey, that was a smart move.
Yeah,
it's because I had Rez Grossman.
Yeah, you ain't lying. They rather give it up to him. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Besides that, I would say just growing up watching Sammy Sosa play, when he was smacking them home runs and he was up with Mark McGwire on that all-time home run list. That was
a good year.
Yeah, that was crazy. And from what I can remember, like the moment they got robbed from
that
one dude.
Now I remember.
He was supposed to have that catch. That was the year they were supposed to go to the World Series, and you know, ever since then, like they were struck for probably a good 12 years, 14 years until they came up with the team that they came up with recently, and you know, took it all the way.
All right, so right before we get this interview going, so set the record straight. Is Chicago a baseball city or a football city?
Honestly,
we know it's bad. It's an MJ city. Basketball gone.
You already know. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, like who got the most championships is the Bulls, you know, and then who's second to them is the Blackhawks. You know, they were good this last decade. And then after that, it's a toss-up between the Cubs and the Sox because they're always bickering back and forth.
Bears left.
Like, don't get me wrong, the Bears got the 85 Bears, but like, you know, besides the 07 Super Bowl team, like what else?
It's been a while.
Yeah, you know.
You make me feel good as a Saints fan. You're like, well, we got the 85 Bears. Like, man.
Yes.
All-time great team, though.
Yeah, I was
at the best team ever.
I was at the Saints game not too long ago when Drew Brees passed up Peyton Manning's all-time touchdown list. That was crazy. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So, me being from New Orleans, like, I got to ask you this question. So, I always get asked crazy questions. One of the crazy questions I get asked is, do people from New Orleans know voodoo?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? I'm from New Orleans. All I could do is cook beignets and party. So what is the craziest question that someone has asked you being from Chicago?
Man, the craziest question I've been asked.
And then, hey, I got to put the culture. Then being a Puerto Rican from Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not super crazy, but like, do you see people do you experience the violence that's been happening? Like, do you experience it firsthand, if that makes sense?
It does. Because, I mean, people want to know. Like, when New Orleans was the murder capital of the world, that was the first thing. Are you a killer? Next thing, do you know baby? It came that's the two things it came. Like, do you know baby or do you know Master P? It was that was the question. Craziest thing. That is the craziest thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, is it safe to come to Chicago? And one thing I would always say is you are who you associate yourself around. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but I've never associated myself with people that were gonna steer me in the wrong direction or bad influences. Wow. And thank God I've never witnessed something like that. I do work security, so I have got into altercations where people have threatened me, but that comes with the job, if that should say. But yeah, besides that, no, nothing's ever happened.
Wow. That's good. That's good, man. Definitely shout out. Especially being from a city like Chicago where there's so much violence. Do you think that played a part of you wanting to become a fighter and expressing yourself through that way, through combat?
Yeah, I mean, big time. I really had no choice growing up. My background story is my dad started me into combat sports at the age of 5, and he was doing it. He had a rough childhood, and he was getting into fights growing up as a youngster, and he started boxing and doing karate and other things like that to stay out of trouble. And he always had to fight, so why not learn self-defense? And he started doing that to his, I want to say, late 20s to early 30s. And then once he had me, he basically put me into those sports. And I kind of, at the time growing up, I always liked team sports because all my friends were playing baseball, playing basketball. And, I was kind of the better athlete out of a lot of people. And he was like, look,
all right,
do you want to rely on, what? In baseball, it's 9 other guys or, however many players are out there on the field. And basketball, it's 4 other people besides yourself, is 5. Do you want the whole, your whole team has to be good in order for you to win a medal or a trophy at the end of the season? Or do you want to rely on yourself? And there was one tournament, I was probably 8 years old. I won 3 6-foot trophies. And he was like, you could either decide to do this or you could do this and rely on yourself. And, you're out there by yourself and you're pretty good at it. And there you go. So that kind of shifted my mindset to focus more on combat sports, even though I always wanted to do, the football, the baseball, the basketball, and other things of those like that.
It's funny because they, in comparison to those sports that you just named, boxing is ranked higher on the mental and as far as the complexity of sports. Mm-hmm. So do you think that it takes more to become a combat sports or a boxer or MMA fighter than it does? What's the difference between, because they're both athletes. What's the difference?
I mean, go back to high school days. If you really think about it, I would always see the football players. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they were in great shape, but at the same time, you get breaks. You get, you get to relax every here and then in between. If you're on offense or you're on defense, sometimes you're on all 3 sides of the ball, but you still get breaks. I mean, when you're wrestling, there's no breaks. There's no let up. There's nothing like that. And you know, the football players would transition, not all of them, but some of them, they would transition from that football season over to that wrestling season, and they were just all out of shape. None of them were in wrestling shape. Like, you know, that's being 100%. Doesn't matter. They were the best football players on the team, and yet they were still, you know, huffing and puffing in the beginning of the wrestling season, and then towards the end, it was like, you know, they adjusted, their bodies adjusted, and they were able to, you know, endure everything else after that once they made that switch over to wrestler's peak. And I would say out of everything, the most mental toughness is probably, for me at least, I competed in boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, wrestling,
Wow.
jiu-jitsu. I competed in a lot of different combat sports, even karate. And I would honestly say wrestling's up there with mental toughness. To me, it's my number one sport. Boxing is probably second. Or honestly, I would say MMA second, then boxing, and then everything else after that.
All right, so before we get this thing started, so definitely want to, since we're talking about, the mental fortitude, the toughness of the sport of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this? So, this was a picture, that actually went viral for us. We got like a couple million hits off of this. So a lot of people voiced their opinion on, is this too young for kids to actually be sparred? So it was crazy. Like,
yeah.
I'm telling you, people from Arkansas, their mamas don't play. Look, they don't play behind their kids. They was like, I'm out there fighting. So what do you think about this?
I mean, to be honest, like, it's crazy that you show two boys because I'm about to have twins.
Wow.
In less than weeks, I'm about to have twin boys. And, just looking at that, like, I picture my boys right there, and, like, I wouldn't even do it. Like, just thinking about that, I would have more protective gear if I were to let them spar. And, at the end of the day, it's all about preserving your mental state more than anything. Because your longevity as a fighter, it just starts the window starts going down and down and down. It starts shrinking the longer you do your career. Look at Muhammad Ali as a prime example. Imagine you're starting off, they look maybe, I would say 8 years old, starting off off at the age of 8. Most boxers, by the time they turn pro, they already have 100, 200 fights, if these fighters even decide to continue to do this. And then from there, let's just say you end up with 50 pro fights if you can survive and, take that lifelong beating. Think about it. After your career, you're not going to be around to coach up your kids or have conversations and be able to just talk to people and
even know who they are, because shit, like Muhammad Ali. But right, we all know Muhammad Ali. Just joking with him, but he's punch drunk and he has Parkinson's. But and I think that is because of the hits and the fights that he had in boxing.
Yeah.
So like, how do you train? Because knowing that it's a brutal sport, knowing that you can get hurt, knowing that you really putting your hands in, your life in the hands of the referee, of the person that's there to stop the fight. So how do you train for this?
Now, are you talking about in the sport of MMA or just in general?
In general, just how do you train for a fight? Because with knowing all of this, you're getting ready for a fight. It's like, okay, knowing that, okay, you can get hurt, knowing that this person has tape on you, knowing that they pretty much seen, they got your style of fight, they watched you, they notice your footwork. How do you train for a fight?
To be honest, I have several different gyms that I go to work on my craft. I mean, I have a school that I go to that is geared more towards MMA. I got another school that I go to that's geared more towards jiu-jitsu. I got another school that's geared towards more of the stand-up game. So I have specialists in which I work, and you think about it, it's like a video game.
I was thinking that. I was like, I got UFC and I got different gyms. It is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, finish. Like,
so it's like a real life video game, and it's just what level do you see yourself at, and where the people that you are training with, where are they at, and then how can you get to that next level? And you keep training, and you keep feel like at the end of the day, you feel like you're evolving. And when it comes time to that fight night, that's when you see, are you at a level, 80 overall, or are you really a 60 overall, or are you really a,
well put.
you know what I'm saying? Like, that determines, where you're at. And then also the person that you're fighting. I mean, at the end of the day, are you fighting somebody that's really legit, or are you fighting somebody is going to pat your stats, if that makes sense? Because
Yes, I'm a fighter.
in these days, a lot of people dodge a lot of people. I mean, it is what it is.
Floyd Mayweather. I'm sorry, man. I had to sneeze. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all heard me. But,
I mean, from a managerial standpoint, I mean, it's brilliant. It is what it is. So he did the business move in which, it was smart on his end. Look, he's undefeated. I respect him in that end. As a true artist, like, you would always want to fight people at their best just to see who is really the best. So it's like, look at any other, you look at the UFC, for example. They only have really one per weight class. They only have one champion. Look at boxing. Per weight class, they have 3-4 different champions. Instead of having 4 champions, why don't you just, I mean, everybody wants a piece of the pie, so that makes sense to have different multiple champions, but everybody's dodging everybody instead of, that's probably why, to me, I feel like boxing's on the downtrend versus MMA is on the upward trend. Boxing doesn't have, look, Mike Tyson's coming back into the mix and everybody's talking about it. There's nothing wrong. He deserves it. But at the same time, like,
he's old as shit.
What do you really
51?
Right.
I think he's like close to 54. What are you really gonna get out of it? What happens if somebody actually does have a heart attack? Something like that,
Wait, talk about so you saying that Mike Tyson might go in the ring and have a heart attack?
Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is chances are
like he in shape.
Mike Tyson,
like he been sitting around playing.
Roy Jones looks like a business in there. I love Roy Jones. I remember watching him, and he's a GOAT. But it's a payday at the end of the day. To me, what it is. You built your name up to have a payday. I would take it any day of the week. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure anybody would if they built their name up to that standpoint. And everybody's sitting at home. Why not put on a show for everybody? Who knows? You might make $50 million off that fight, or
make some money.
Even if it's $10 million, I'd take it any day. At any age.
Fact. So, all right. So since we're talking about Tyson and boxing, do you think that actually helps these new breed of boxers? Because to me, I've been a boxing fan, and I became an MMA fan because, like you mentioned, I noticed the decline in boxing when the Klitschko's brothers, all them Russians, they were fighting. They took over boxing, so I started watching MMA. So to me, for this old man to come in boxing and to get a fight, to me, it's like these youngsters don't have any showmanship in the ring. They're not selling tickets. So what do you think about this?
I got some friends that are some boxers, and they're up there in the rankings and stuff like that. It just goes down to the marketing and everybody else that's behind the scenes. To be honest, the fighters can. Our job is to, I'm a fighter myself. Our job is to train and get ready. And at the end of the day, these promotions want us to be like Conor McGregor and like Floyd Mayweather. And, to me, that's not a real martial artist. It's having respect, and you're both in there for the same goal. It's about sportsmanship, and you shouldn't have to threaten somebody on a personal level in order to you know, I guess gain the upper hand, if that makes sense. But it's all a mental.
It does, because it's like, it's kind of, you're trying to play a mental game and get the adrenaline, get this reaction instead of getting the art. So, that's one thing that I've always questioned about MMA and when in any other sport like that, because, it's like you're getting the passion, you're getting in the heat of the moment versus, okay, this guy's trained to do this versus now you made it personal. So now it's like, I just want to just rip your head off. So, I get that. So like, how do you stay? Because I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with how, you say, just like, yeah, the house is on fire. It's okay. The dog left. Yeah. Wife gone. Yeah, it's fine. Just calm, but you're a fighter. So I know that rage, that dog is in you. Like, how do you stay calm like that? How, doing training? Is it like, what music do you listen to? Like, is it the music that calms you? Because, they say music soothes the beast. Is that what soothes you, Coach Lee?
No. Oh.
Me? Nah, music get me in trouble.
I'm
I gotta stay away from. I might throw a little Frank Sinatra in to calm me down, man.
Ooh, yeah. All right, so I know I gotta miss y'all. Don't invite y'all on karaoke night. Now y'all just take over the mic. That's what y'all saying.
Facts.
Before I got married, yes, but not now.
Very nice. Very well played. He's gonna be like, "Hey, man, I gave you a shout out tonight." Nice. So definitely you being a family man, you have a family. So doing this training, do you separate yourself, or do you use them as a means to to push your training?
Honestly, I've only had, since I've been married, technically, I had the fight that you just showed. I ended up getting married August 1st. I had that fight September 1st of last year. So
talking about a bachelor party, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I proposed July 4th of last year, and I got married August 1st. So less than a month later, and then I had my fight. So it wasn't enough time to use that as, I guess it wasn't, if that makes sense. Things happened throughout my training camp, and I was going for that fight probably, if I was lucky, 70%.
Wow.
Let me think, what else? Oh, and then going out to fight in, where did I fight? Singapore. I from that fight of September 1st, I fought in Singapore, and I think October, I was going into Singapore probably at another 70%. I ended up getting a sponsor, a chiropractor sponsor, to basically take care of my injuries. And it was probably a couple, like maybe 2 weeks before, where I felt my injuries were finally going away, but that's not enough time, but I am who I am, and at the end of the day, unless I can't walk into the cage, like I'm stepping up. I was looking to make my pro debut this year. I took some time away from fighting, from about the age of 21 till about 24, 25, and yeah, I mean,
wow. All right, so definitely keep this going, but like I say, appreciate your sis. She hanging out with us in the audience. We're definitely interactive interview. All our shows are like that. Just wants to know what keeps you grounded.
What
is it? Jiu-jitsu?
No, that, like, as far as like even keel, just like mellowed. I guess it's my personality. I've always been cool, calm, and collective. If that's specifically what you're
Shout out to you, Angelo Rivera Sr., because I'm telling you, I am impressed. He's like, yeah, I'm just cool, calm, and collected. I'm gonna buy you a fan. We're gonna get you a fan. But yeah, I'm like, what keeps you grounded though, for as like in the ring and outside the ring? Because just like we all know, Tyson bit the ear, so he lost his cool? You know, what keeps you from, you know, maybe doing a pounding on top of the head when someone, you know, maybe gets advantage of you or puts you in an awkward, you know, position where you feel threatened?
Man, thinking about that, it's just how I was raised. To just stay relaxed, composed, and to be able to listen to my cornermen whenever they do tell me something. Because if you think about it, when people that I know have gotten into street fights, the minute they get into street fights, what happens? Adrenaline kicks in. Typically, they black out. What happens when you black out? You don't remember anything. So that's the state of mind that you automatically go into the minute that you flip that switch. So that's why I always did my best to keep myself level-headed and grounded, because the minute that you get enraged, you forget all your training and you're an animal, in which there's nothing wrong with it. That's what, you know, you see fighters today and that's what gets them going. But at the same time, like, I'm more about the technical aspect versus trying to brute my way out of things. I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest fighter. So if I'm not the biggest and I'm not the strongest, guess what I have to be? The most technical.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me think. You got something. Make think work with something else, man. You know, in my prime, I'll probably get in the cage with you. But not now. But you know, you mentioned about Animal in our last MMA fight. You know, we asked you the same question about to ask you. You know, once you get to the ring, what type of animal you think you are, or would you say you are?
Probably a monkey.
Yeah. Elaborate.
Please.
Because monkeys, to me, are one of the smartest animals out there. You know, like, if you really think about it, they're all over the place, but at the same time, they're kind of crazy, but they can learn a lot of things. You know, if you watch TV, you see monkeys that are working with astronauts and all types of things, and they're still strong. So that's the reason why I say that. If you're talking about what kind of animal I am,
yeah.
See that? I can see that.
So, you know, they're very smart, and at the same time, like, you know, I would say more like
they're pretty neat
of a gorilla, but like that's not my beast, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not wild as
beat your chest.
Yeah, that's not me, you know. I like just being cool, calm, and collective, and I feel like monkeys are more like chill. They got that little pretty, you know, like that pretty factor to them, where people are like, "Oh, that's so sweet," but at the same
time, they bite your face off.
Exactly. Look, be like, "Whoo!" I remember the Art of the Monkey. I'm telling you, that was the old Bruce Lee. I'm telling you, all Chinese karate back in the 80s, early 90s was Art of the Monkey. So I'm with it. All right.
So, all right. I know it's different, but you know, I like to be different.
Exactly.
Respect.
You know, and that's one thing about Sports Talk with Friends, with Power by the Fans, because we know every fan is different. You know, you cannot just cookie cutter, you know, one fan. So, you know, and that's greatness that, you know, you mentioned that, because, you know, in the art of fighting, you know, it's all that, you know, it's all mental. So definitely want to pick your mental, you know, so definitely like, okay, hey, you say you're monkey now. Hopefully you not Michael Jackson monkey, not that type of monkey, right?
You on bubbles.
So, you know, just like talk about the monkey, the art of the monkey, the style of the monkey. What is your style? What is your style of fighting, and how did you develop it?
I would say well-rounded. The only reason why I would say that is because I'm comfortable if it's on the feet. I'm comfortable if you are familiar with what a clinch is. In the clinch, which is basically like body on body, because I like throwing people. I've been wrestling since the third grade, so I like throwing people right on their head, and comfortable whether I am on top of somebody on the ground or whether I'm on the bottom to get up or to work a submission. So that's why I always say well-rounded, for the most part.
All right, so with your well-rounded self, What is your stance? Show us your stance, like, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you want me to
Well,
put?
how you put your hand?
Oh, I like keeping my left one up and out. And then my right hand, I keep it up to block defect. And then this left one, whenever their power hand, typically if I'm fighting a right-handed stance fighter, that means their left arm and their left leg is lead. And they come over top with overhand right with my left hand. I just block it right at their bicep. So I keep that wide stance, pop out my jab, and then get ready for a shot if it comes, and vice versa. Just keep moving.
Nice. All right, talking about that shot. So just like Mike Tyson, everyone, boom, like right now, it's all cool. You're very technical. You got a plan. You're going into the fight until you take that punch in the mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So who the first guy to give you that boom, like whoa, okay, that shock factor, that punch in the mouth?
That I can remember.
Or that you will admit.
I'm never afraid to admit anything. I would say when I made it to the World Ringside Finals in 2007, all I remember is the first punch from that boxing match. That's literally all I remember. Bing. And if you look on video, the only reason why I got stopped is because I had a runny nose and the blood never stopped coming down. But I don't remember anything from that fight, and you see me still going into battle, still fighting, and still moving around, and still, like a warrior, just keep on chugging. That was probably the first time I ever got concussed. And yeah, I mean, I just kept on going.
That's great. And so, and we see right now, since we're about to pop that question up, and that leads us to the next thing. So, having that experience, having that, whoa, how did you pick yourself up from that? Because, like, that's pretty, getting punched in the, mouth in the nose like that, and getting shocked, you're a fighter. How did you pick yourself up from that?
I mean, I was young. I didn't really know any better, if that made sense. It was just another day in the office. I would say, honestly, probably my third MMA fight was the biggest experience. That when I did get knocked out, I was actually, it should be up on YouTube. I was winning the fight coming into that first round, and next thing you know, I got a little too overconfident, and the guy threw a head kick, and I ducked right into his kick. His knee hit my temple, and I was out. Right after I started catching consciousness, I just went insane. Like, I was pissed. I was like all mixed of emotions. I was crying, just sad because people came out to see me perform. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, it just happened like that. What got me over that hump? It was probably my family, honestly, like just, like my mom, my dad, being able to have that support where it's like, it's okay. Like it's mm-hmm. not necessarily you want it to happen, but chances are in this sport, it's gonna
right.
So, it's not a matter of, it's a matter of how you respond, if that makes sense. It doesn't.
Yes, that's why we asked you that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Everyone flying high is good until boom, you trip, until you fall in front of your friends.
Yeah.
So how do you pick yourself up? Because your friends are going, hi, so I'm like, hey, I'm one of the friends, like, oh, snaggy. I'm gonna laugh, but I'm gonna help you get up. So, with that, so what advice would you give parents who wanted to put their kids in boxing at a young age? Yeah. Should they start with wrestling and transition into boxing, or just go into martial arts?
Wrestling is the most dominant sport. It depends on what your overall goal is. Are you
to win?
Yeah,
to kick ass.
Yeah, of course. If you're just looking for them to learn the sport and compete, do both. Are you looking for them to become professional MMA fighters? Then I would say start off with wrestling, gear more towards that. Later, teach them the fundamentals of boxing. but don't let them compete until they become 14, 15, 16 years old. Make it more seasonal so that way they're not taking the traumatic damage to their head all year round if what your overall goal is martial arts. And that's for any martial art. That's for kickboxing. That's, you know, I've even got struck in the head super hard in karate. You know, competing against, I've always, whenever I entered a tournament, was always put in the older divisions, the bigger divisions, just because for my age group, I was always like the biggest kid and more experienced, and they just leveled me up, I guess.
Nice, nice. So, all right. So, you know, because my son, he was in, like, I put him in, he was in martial arts. He was in karate at a young age. And honestly, you know, so I definitely want to put this out there because, you know, they say you put these kids in karate, it teaches them discipline and everything. But it felt like they were almost like they was adding gasoline to the fire. My son he was already back crazy. So it was just teaching him how to fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't no control. I never seen it.
Okay.
You know, like I seen him, you know, he did his katas, he did this, but I still had to say, boy, stop. I've never seen the discipline side of that. So where, you know, is that true?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I was younger, I was all over the place, and I had a lot of rage and anger, and until I started learning more of the mental state, that's when I started controlling, I guess, myself versus, you know, like there was one time I would say in high school, there was a kid that hit me 2 times. And after he hit me the second time, I was like, all right, cool. Let's finally go to the alley. Because, you know, they were like, no, don't worry. He's drunk. You know, it was after high school homecoming, and we were at a party, and he was, you know, drinking. I didn't drink at all because I was an athlete. And next thing you know, he hits me again. I'm like, all right, let's go to the alley. And my friends already knew who I was. And the minute I, you know, get into a fight, chances are I was probably going to get in big trouble because everybody already knew who I was. So they said, look, if you just walk away, like, we'll take care of the situation for you. And all I did was just walk away. And the kid already hit me twice. So I guess it depends on the individual and also where you're going to learn these disciplines, because nowadays everybody's looking to make a quick come up where, you know, prime example, you know, in my field of what I'm doing business wise, I'm teaching self-defense and I'm teaching people how to box, and I'm teaching.
What is your business? Sorry, no, put that out. What's your business?
I'm basically a personal trainer, but instead of you more geared towards weights, I do more geared towards cardio, kickboxing, boxing, and self-discipline as far as in that nature. So that's my business.
And is it what? Pads by? Okay, I'm sorry. Finish.
Yeah, no, Pads by Prince is my business, and there's a lot of people that they look good, they're personal trainers in that aspect. They lift weights, and then they try teaching you how to box, and they don't even know, they've never boxed themselves. You know, they try teaching you how to kickbox. They never even threw a kick before, and the fundamentals are all wrong. You can hurt yourself big time. You can blow out a shoulder by throwing a punch the wrong way. You can break your hand by making connection and hitting with the wrong part of just your knuckles. You know what I'm saying?
I got a broken knuckle in what, the 8th grade because I punched him in the forehead.
Yeah.
It hurt like hell.
That knuckle that you just pointed at, that's one of the main knuckles that you don't hit with. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
You know, like people don't even.
You in 8th grade, sir?
You know, people don't even know how to make a fist. You know, when they make a fist, they go like this with the thumb in the inside. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's how you break your thumb. So it's like you're having all these, how do I say, phony trainers trying to train people, and that's how people get hurt. So it's about doing your research, actually knowing who's legit and who actually put in the work.
That's why I canceled my membership at Planet Fitness, because They tried to be trainers, but I kept hurting myself. And look, I ain't no bigger.
Yeah.
But you know.
No, I feel you. Everybody got to start somewhere, if that makes sense. But there's a lot of people, especially with social media these days, that are claiming they're one thing and in reality they're something else. So it gives you a wrong, false, I guess you could say, portrayal.
But that's what social media does. You just want, because people want the look in front of them. They don't want the stuff. They don't want the work behind it. So just like what you're saying, you're very technical. So, I know you pay attention to, the movements and everything. So that's why I asked you, like, hey, what's your hands look like? And far as on this discipline thing, because you teach, self-defense. And to me, the first thing about self-defense is self-control. And I was taught that, I was told, which I didn't understand, that breathing helps with, anger and self-control. So where do you learn that?
Where did I learn my breathing from? Actually,
is that true? Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I learned that from
hey, sis, I got 2 chicken on. Nah. Order the chicken.
Yeah. I learned my breathing from karate, and honestly from my dad. He taught me when lifting how to breathe correctly. And then the older you get, your coaches should be guiding you in the right direction, when to be breathing and things like that. You hear boxers spar or you hear them hitting the bag, they always go tss, 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 they're breathing out every time they make connection. Or in karate, when you get hit in the stomach, you're supposed to breathe out, because if you hold your breath in, then you will get the wind knocked out of you.
I was wondering, like, is that taught? Because I'm like, everyone, and and I watch, and it's like, so is that taught?
Yeah, I mean, I teach it. It's, you see, that those are the things where if you have a phony trainer, they're not going to teach you that. It is what it is. It's like having a lifting coach and they don't tell you to breathe. There's correct form when you're breathing, when you're going upward on the motion on a chest, you're bench pressing. When you go upward, breathing correctly as far as when you come downward, because if not, you're not going to be able to maximize the amount of reps that you're able to get per set. So it's the same thing when throwing punches. You're not going to be able to last a 3-minute round, or a 5-minute round in a professional cage match if you can't even breathe correctly while throwing your punches. Nice.
All right, so before we get up out of here, definitely got to ask you, who's your favorite combat fighter?
Ooh. Now or then, or all time?
Both.
Okay.
Since you put it out there, both.
Okay, so all time, I would love to say Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva was, to me, one of the all time, in his prime, the best. Just all around a technician, very professional, but at the same time is a showman inside the octagon, if that makes sense. He's real flashy and all that other stuff.
He's on top of the cage.
Yeah, he's a beast. Now, I guess I'm kind of biased. I like my brother in arms, the guy I went to high school with, and I started him off in his fighting career, Curtis Blades. He's ranked number 3 in the UFC as the heavyweight division. So like, me and my dad took him underneath our wings and we're teaching him, and basically I introduced him to my connections. I fell off of the fight game, and he still continued to he kept pushing, kept moving, and he is where he is today. So it's pretty cool to see at least somebody that I talent scouted since high school make it out, and make it into the big leagues, and is living out his dream now.
So everyone had, just like every trainer, like every gym has a trainer, every have a trainer. So what's your motivation behind your business? Like, what motivated you to start yours to pass by Prince? What what motivated you to do that? What's the drive behind it? Is it the people? Is it the money? Like, what is it?
Honestly, it's more the people. I like changing people's lives, if that makes sense. The money's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's
That's what
a
you're
lot
going
better.
business for.
Yeah, it's a lot better than what I was doing everything else. But I like when people text me, hey man, I'm finally down. This is the lowest I've been in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Since high
Mm,
school, I haven't been 230 pounds since high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that. And it's just building connections, having it's marketing. I mean, it's network marketing. I mean, at the same time, like if you really think about it, like I'm learning from different people um, about life more than just fighting. I'm training venture capitalists that are 23, 24 years old, and they're
oh,
teaching
wow.
me about business. And I'm training heart surgeons that are 55 years old, dentists that are in the prime of their life, early 30s, and all these people that I never thought I would meet in a day of my life. And
Right.
if it wasn't for me training them, and it's pretty cool to be able to get connected. And now my network has it keeps expanding day by day,
Wow.
week by week. I'm meeting new
Business is good.
people. Yeah, business is in the beginning, like before the corona hit, I was on pace to making about $10,000 a month
Oh, wow.
in my third month of business. Uh, yeah. So it's not to brag or boast. It's just saying it is what it is.
Right.
Um, and next thing you know, corona hit and everything just flatlined. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I refused to take a 9 to 5, simply because I already knew the minute I did do that, I felt like I was gonna go a step behind, and I don't want to move a step behind. Next thing you know, I find out I'm having twins, and I just kept. I wouldn't even say honestly, I wasn't even praying. It was just I kept staying positive. That's my mindset
Keep
is
your
everything.
mindset.
Yeah, so I just stay positive, and now business is booming crazier than ever. I feel like every week
Awesome.
I got new people jumping on. I'm training. I never thought I would train 7-year-old kids, a day of my life. I
Wow.
honestly I never did that, and just for the simple fact is I didn't think that people would actually pay to for me to train their kids. Like I always thought, they were gonna try to lowball.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would tell these parents, like, hey, look, this is typically what I charge, like, I would go into that saying, what can you afford? And they're like, well, if that's what you charge for a one-on-one, then I'll do that. I'll make it happen for my kid. And then ever since then, it's like, it just kept getting better and better and better. And, now I train about like probably like 8 kids that are anywhere from the age of
Wow.
7 to 14. And then, I have probably like 20 to 30 individuals that are anywhere ranging from 21 all the way up to 55 years old, and
Wow.
um, from all different walks of life.
Wow. So shout out to you, sis. So as I'm sure everyone who comes in contact with you, they see the genuine from you. So she's saying it's truly amazing to see that we still have people of truth and honor in the game. Thanks for all you do.
Mhm.
So yeah, man, like that's it right there.
Yeah.
you know, that's wild. That's what people do. So, like you're a server. You seem like you try to be a people person, you're a server, and that's what gets rewarded.
Yeah.
But any shout out before we get up out of here.
Um, man, I mean, like it's just a whole bunch of emotions going on, like just thinking about the year. But I guess, shout out to my family. I mean, the people that are holding me down, my mom, my dad, my wife, and my two unborn twin
Blessings.
boys, that I look forward to, coaching up. I mean, thank you for everybody that has supported me till this day. Thank you to I'll shout you out, bro. Thank you to my guy G. He's right next to me.
You got to talk on the camera.
Look, you want to say something?
Wah.
My guy, he's from New York, bro. He's saying, why you wearing that Dallas Cowboys hat? You know.
Thank you.
He's a Giants fan.
I'm not a Giants fan.
Hey, y'all got Gary now. Y'all deal with him.
on live, on the internet. You're not vulnerable on this.
You see that? He's taking sports to the heart.
Hey, that is sportstalkwithfriends.com and the group, man. Get up in there. We welcome you. Let's go. Bring that New York stuff.
But
Hey,
go ahead.
I do have a question for you before you go.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, you had said, as far as your rankings in the sports that you preferred, sort of kind of like the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
If you, as a fighter at your best, which one of those fighters would you not want to face in a ring?
Ooh, the ones that I've always had the most trouble with is the wrestlers.
But I mean, as far as you yourself, you had to fight yourself.
Oh, I
which
had to
one?
fight. Oh,
Yeah.
What do you mean? Which one would I not want to fight?
So you might be better at one than you are in the other one. So
Yeah.
which one would you
Fighting
have?
style?
Yes. Which one would you have the most trouble with?
Which fighting style you would have the most trouble with?
Oh, wrestling.
Wrestling.
Which is weird because I've competed with the best wrestlers in the state, you know, but for whatever reason, like it's so weird when it comes to the MMA game, just because it's an art, and if you do not set up everything to the T, it's going to be very hard. And for whatever reason, most of my, like, the few losses that I do have, the most guys were pretty much true wrestlers. That's all they did.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know if that answered, but yeah,
You sure
wrestling.
did.
Yeah, that's it.
You did.
That's it.
Yeah, so even look at the UFC right now. Like, all the guys that have the belts, they're all like big time wrestlers, or were big time wrestlers, you should say. So yeah.
Nice.
I know you
Nice.
train hard, so you probably don't eat a lot of junk food, but Chicago has a lot of good food.
Oh my God. Right now, honestly, this year, I've taken this year to get pregnant with my wife. Especially with all the COVID happening. There's not really a lot of local shows going on, which sucks, man. I mean, if you're not in the big show, you're pretty much screwed. So I'm more at the standpoint where I'm looking out not only for my health, but for the health of my family, and making sure that, because when I go into the gym, I'm going to be rolling around with guys. I don't know where they've been, and I don't know who those people have come into contact with, and so on and so forth. So, it's very close contact when you are training, and it sucks with everything going on that, I can't, I can go for a run, and I can go do this, and I can go do that. But I already know when it's time to flip the switch, it's going to be game over for me. I'm not going to have no time, so I might as well enjoy my time now while I can, because I'm about to have two little boys running around. Like, I'm still training people, and then I'm going to go be training myself. And, back then I used to train myself alone 6 to 8 hours a day. That was my job. Now I just have to train a lot smarter and pray for the best.
Thanks. Man, it seems like you got a lot of good things ahead. So, one last question before we get you out of here. So, where do you see yourself at within the next 2 years as far as fighting? We know where you see. We know we see you in the next 2 years. Picking up and cleaning diapers. But in a fight in the combat industry, even with business, where do you see yourself? Because the new normal is face mask and gloves. So, where do you see yourself at in the business world?
The business world, I see myself, I'm already doing it, hiring on other trainers, and such as my dad, and talking to other trainers. Like, it's getting to the point where my availability is becoming less and less. And the minute I do have my kids, I'm going to start making my availability even less and less. So if you require my services, it's all about demand and it's about that cheddar.
Hey, look, I had to go. Look, I had to make an appointment to get
Yeah.
an appointment to get an appointment to get to him. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
You get
So
what I'm
you
saying?
can best believe that is coming.
Yeah, and I also plan on building out my gym by the end of this year. Something that it's gonna be more like a boutique because honestly, I plan on building it out in my backyard. Knocking down,
Nice.
I'm knocking down my garage and expanding it across my whole backyard and making it 2 levels. So that first level is gonna be more geared towards the like aerobic and anaerobic trainings, as far as running, weightlifting, things like that. And then the second floor is going to be mat space for the grappling, a cage for the sparring, and then some bags for practice and stuff like that. So
Very innovative.
I do have a big enough yard to make that happen. And basically anybody wants me to leave my domain, they will be asked for a high demand as far as
Nice.
service fee. Just so that way I don't have to leave, my family. And on top of that, with everything going on, I have a place
That's it.
myself.
Right.
Mhm.
And and it's COVID free because you can self maintain, and so and that's what I'm talking about, and that's what I want to hear. With these interviews and people in business in the sports world, because the sports of yesteryears are gone. You going, hey, okay, hey, you know what? Let's meet up at this gym that's up the street. That's not going to happen anymore.
It'll kill you now.
Right. And so it only, you got to make appointments. So definitely this COVID, it is definitely great to see that you have innovative thinking and you're preparing for this. So someone because in our group Sports Talk with Friends, we have a lot of fighters, They're in the gyms, they're always practicing. So any upcoming fighter, what are some suggestions you would give to these upcoming fighters or people that want to get into combat?
I mean, people that want to get into combat, I would say number one, always do your homework. See who it is that you are basically dancing with, because the sport of martial arts it's dancing. It's not necessarily choreographed, but at the same time, like you're learning a flow, you're learning a rhythm, and you have to make sure that everything comes in alignment with your beliefs. And if it doesn't, you shouldn't be working with them, if that makes sense. For instance, that self discipline is number one. If that's number one in your belief system, that's something that should be required even before you even start training with the individual that you're looking to train with. As far as like for your kids, for example, that's something that should be preached before practice and after practice about respecting your parents, respecting the students, the kids in your class, respecting your teachers. Don't be bullying people, don't be fighting nobody unless you're protecting your own. So those are things in regards to somebody that's looking for martial arts to get into their life. Now, as far as for the martial artist, the person that is fighting, I honestly would just say prepare yourself for the day where anything could happen at any given moment. Not everybody is going to be the next Floyd Mayweather. Not everybody's going to be the next Conor McGregor. So, if what are you going to do if fighting isn't there anymore? So not trying to be a pessimist by any means. That is not my thing at all. But you always got to have build yourself up, build your brand. What do you want to do with yourself? How do you want people to see you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's where a lot of people lack as far as oh, I wouldn't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't fighting. Like you don't let the sport use you, you use the sport, if that makes sense.
It
And
does.
that's anything.
That's
That's
transfer exactly.
there's football players that go in there and they stay 3 years in the NFL, they make their couple mil, and then they retire because they're on to the next chapter of their life. They know at their position what that mental toll is going to be on their body, and they don't see themselves being like whoever it is that they emulated when they were a little kid. They don't want to see themselves going through that and putting their families through that. So guess what? They're veering off and taking a different business approach. So that's one thing that I would recommend for anybody is match and model. If you see somebody that has exactly what it is that you want, lifestyle, everything to the T, you match and model. Do exactly what it is that they did and pray for the best. Eventually you'll get the things that they had, but if they're not living the lifestyle that you want to live, don't do the things that they did.
Man, you're taking us to church up in here, man. So, what can someone find, or, what can they find you to get some more of these nuggets? So, what I'm saying? Get in on your lifestyle because, you're fighting worldwide, you're doing stuff locally, you're doing stuff abroad. What can the fans find you?
Through any social media channel, as you see on my shirt, Prince Rivera Jr., that is where I am at. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook. I don't have a TikTok. I have Instagram. I do have a Twitter. I'm barely on Twitter. I feel like I'm still young, but I feel like I'm old because I'm not on social media like all these youngsters. And I'll post up here and there, and whoever reaches out to me, I'll make sure I respond. But I'm not all up to date with every single new thing that's out. But yeah, on Facebook and on Instagram is where I'm mainly active the most under Prince Rivera Jr. And if you got any questions, just feel free to reach out at any time.
Awesome. Hey, man, look, we're about to get up out of here. We're going to wrap this thing up, man. It's always good hanging out with you, Coach Lee. And thank you for hanging out with us, Mr. Rivera. Definitely won't hear any bad things coming from me because I know you pretty bad. Look, got them hands up like, hey.
I come in peace. And then,
oh, shit. Well, look, this is how we do it. This is do it over Lee Rowe. I don't say the Lee Rowe without the junior. Signing off with Coach Lee. And, of course, our MMA guest, Angela.
Take care, guys. Thank you so much for having me on, man. It was a pleasure.